All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mindful Manila. To our friends who have been tuning in on a regular basis, welcome back. And you know that this is a special episode for us. And to those who are new to Mindful Manila, so Mindful Manila is your it's your online community for mindful living in the metro. It really started out as a blog, as a Facebook page, but ever since March, before the lockdown, we started holding these weekly Mindful Monday live chats. And so far, our community has grown. And we've also been very, very fortunate to have had with us very interesting panelists and, interesting people who talk about different facets of mindfulness. So we've had talks about anxiety and mindfulness. We've also had mga faith amid crisis, mindful parenting, mindful partnerships. And now, tonight, let me just share the rest of my screen. So today, our episode is about green living at home. And why we chose this topic is that for those of you who don't know it, June 5 is World Environment Day. Although people are more familiar with April 22, which is Earth Day, but June 5 is actually World Environment Day. And we also wanted to have this episode in recognition of the fact that our new normal now, di ba, the lifestyle of people eating at home, probably consuming a lot of takeout and having to wear masks, gloves, etc. We're generating a lot of waste. But we don't want this episode to be like a guilt trip, but we want to help households and individuals, I guess, better manage how we consume and how we can also take care of the environment even while we're locked down and even while we're kind of disconnected from nature. So we're super fortunate to have with us three panelists who I also consider friends, and they're very passionate about what they do. So I'll just go through the people you see on the screen, also through our screen here. So JR Demecais. So he's one of my friends from the Ayala Young Leaders Congress. He is a social entrepreneur. He is also president of a social enterprise consulting firm called YGOAL, and he works with youth development organizations, corporate foundations, embassies, and anyone who's interested in the intersection of development, CSR, sustainability. That's JR's line of expertise. But today he is here to represent GreenHobbyPH. So that's his Instagram handle. We'll share that later, and he'll talk about plant parenting. Diba? Since we're talking about green living at home, we might as well start talking about, diba, how to make our indoor spaces greener and also more, they're better for mental well-being. Diba? Pag meron kang green something at home. Next up, we have Pam Luber. So Pam was a colleague of mine. We were both from advertising. And even back then, she was very, very passionate about the environment. And she has won awards and grants also for her environmental advocacy. And now she is heading communications as the integrated marketing communications manager for WWF Philippines. So Pam is our, for in this panel, she is our resident talagang earth champion. But then all of them also have really been passionate about the environment. Last but not the least, our third panelist is Raf Jonicio. So I knew of Raf way before through his social enterprise also called Mad Travels, and Mad means make a difference. And he's been curating very unique travel experiences, exposing travelers to indigenous groups, diba? Agricultural communities, if I'm not mistaken. And Raf was also heavily involved with Gawad Kalinga. So I super love this panel because it's a panel of like-minded individuals, and maybe it's the first time you're meeting each other, but everybody here really cares about their causes and their advocacies, and we really encourage you all to stay tuned and ask questions. So we are streaming live on both Facebook and YouTube. So if you have any questions, please just write them on the comment section and we'll read them out. Tapos pati yung mga fans, kung gusto nyong bumate, ayan, pwede naman po. All right, so we'll get started. Siguro the first thing I'll ask our guests is, how has it been during the lockdown for you? I mean, and are you guys starting to step out already because it's already GCQ? Anyone can start.
Yeah,
Ikaw, Pam. I mean, yeah, okay, Raf, yes.
Yeah, been going out, just going around the city and, getting also the fruits and vegetables and other items that we're delivering now. It allows me to go around and you really appreciate the city for what it could be, especially because a lot cleaner because there are generally less people outside.
That's true. But maybe for starters, would you mind telling us about Mad Market, right? So you used to have a social enterprise called Mad Travel, and then it shifted to Mad Market. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, when the lockdown commenced, all our travel went down to zero, and it's still zero until for the foreseeable future. So we asked ourselves a question: what kind of value do we generate by doing what we do? And we thought of two things. One is that we've always had the opportunity and chance to help the community sell things that they produce in surplus. So it could be bamboo straws, honey, no? But we've just never given time to focus on these things. No? And there are many other communities that can't be visited travel-wise because it's not practical. But bringing their goods here might be simpler. So we thought that maybe since everyone's got to eat, then we should start trying to see if we can insert their products here and there into people's lives. No? And it's definitely, I guess, it's something that we're fighting for, the bigger idea of food independence. No? With Independence Day coming up, the backdrop of what we're trying to do is to make sure that local producers have a market and that they're not edged out by foreign competition, or that as a country we're also food secure, because at the moment I think 30% of everything we eat comes from abroad, which is not necessarily a bad thing in itself, but if your food producers are in crisis as well and they run out of food, then that presents a serious situation for us. No? And so there's really a lot of sense in terms of trying to support the people who produce our food locally.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I also used to work in the Senate, and my boss then, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, would always say, we should feed the farmers who are helping us feed the country. I mean, they're often the last to be fed, diba? They're also the ones going hungry. But you mentioned certain communities. Which communities are these in particular?
At the moment, we're able to work with a couple. One of our favorites is the Aitas from Bataan, and then there's also the Aitas from Zambales and San Felipe, and then Dumagat from Rizal, and then there are a couple of other farmers in the Zambales area that we're able to source items from, and then of course from Benguet as well for different vegetables, and as far down south as, I guess, Davao for all the pomelo that comes our way. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity there now. And I mean, doing our own market study, we kind of saw just like how ridiculously priced some food items are in supermarkets, and I was like, wow. Maybe it's because there's a lot of spoilage, right? That is a problem. So perhaps if people can pre-order, then that will save us the trouble of food waste as well.
That's true. I'd love to talk with you more offline about that. But I think what we've seen also is this trend. Now, a lot of people have also stepped up to really support our farmers. Nobody really wanted COVID to happen and all of this to take place, but a positive side effect I saw was that people were really concerned about what's going to happen to the farmers. How can we get their produce closer to us? And to go to, are there any challenges in terms of, or what are the biggest challenges in terms of logistics?
Well, there's a story going that's gone around for a while um, about buying direct from farmers, and definitely
Mm-hmm.
it's something that would make a lot of sense. But there are also many challenges that come with buying direct from farmers, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure a lot of the other players in the industry have that same experience. Let's say you want to buy mangoes, which it's the tail end of the season. Everybody likes mangoes.
Yeah,
If you buy from, let's say, a supermarket or go to the market, you can pick the nice ones, right? But when you
that's
buy from a
true.
farm, the tree produces nice ones and not so nice ones, and the farm just sends you
Mm-hmm.
everything, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so um, it's your responsibility to make sure that you sort it out, and they're generally in quantities that are quite large, right? So because most of the farms here are monocultures, then they drop
Okay.
off a lot of things. No, I
Mm-mm,
think
mm-mm.
if the farms eventually move into a more multi-cropping context, then it might be easier to for other players to. It depends, really depends on what the market's like now. But for a player like
Mm-mm.
us, then a farm with a variety of items makes more sense
Yeah,
versus, let's say, a major supermarket chain that just wants volume of one item, right? So,
wow, okay. That's and for
so
people who want to I mean, I'm going to jump and just ask for people who want to order online, where do they go?
well,
Or
they
what's
can
their
check out Make a Difference Market on Instagram or Mad Market
okay.
on Facebook, and then
So
we'll
it's
just message
make
them
a
directly.
difference. How do you
Right,
it's
yep.
just make a difference market on Instagram.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna type it and let's see. Did I tama ba? Make a difference market on
make it
Instagram.
correct.
Correct?
Yep, yep,
Okay, so
yep.
yeah, so to our viewers, please check that out. Pero ano naman, so Pam, from WWF's perspective, or how has it been for the lockdown? Have we from a scientific perspective, are we seeing more waste being generated, or ano din ba? Kasi we've seen, 'di ba? Photos and news of generally the streets being cleaner, air quality has improved. Of course, again, we never wanted for this to happen and for so many people to get sick and to have to have also died and for the world to be in a pandemic. But there seems to be some healing going on in terms of the planet. I mean, from the WWF's perspective, what has occurred while the rest of us were on lockdown?
For that kasi, of course, in terms of actual data, we're still trying to verify. Kasi in terms naman of data gathering, since, for
Mm-mm.
example, the Philippines, diba, if you talk about the Philippine context, technically, nag-start lang naman talaga yung boom ng COVID around March. That's when we actually started our lockdowns as well. So in terms of waste, syempre, these are
Mm.
data points
Totoo.
that we still have to clarify or observe. Pero it's not so much the amount, I guess, but actually the variety din. Kasi of course, nowadays,
Oo.
there are things that pre-COVID, we don't use a lot. Like for example, in terms of masks, we're not a mask country eh. Unlike Japan, na sa kanila automatic eh.
Mm.
Pag uubo ka, magmamask ka, diba? Tayo hindi masyado.
Mm.
So those are things talaga na we have to wait pa for the data talaga. But in terms of the things that are happening din, na-mention rin to ni Raf kanina eh, na parang there are many ways rin kasi by which na tayo mismo, we can actually, parang as individuals, we can actually contribute to the betterment of the environment. For example, sa bahay, like, I'm sure
Mhm.
si JR will talk more about this later, no? Kasi mas expert siya here than me. But in terms of growing our own food, like, it's one of those topics na, like baking, suddenly everyone wants to get into it, diba?
That's true.
Diba?
Ayun.
Like, part of it
That's true.
maybe is for survival,
Kasama
but
ako
part of
dyan.
it, diba? But part of it is really
Mm.
wanting to cultivate these skills na before ang lagi nating excuses, wala tayong oras. So that's one. And then nabanggit rin kanina to,
So,
yung about food waste. So right now kasi a lot of people are, kasi yun lang rin yung available, 'di ba? A lot of people then, especially during ECQ, really relied on deliveries. Well, for one, for survival, for food, but partly minsan for a sense of normalcy din, 'di ba? Na parang gusto ko ng milk tea para naman ma-feel ko na hindi talaga lockdown. Parang alam niyo
oo.
yun? We need to cheer ourselves up,
Oo.
'di ba? So, siguro what we want to tell people then is that you can do small things to help the environment kahit nasa loob ka ng bahay. Like for example, sa food waste, like now we actually have the time to really look at the things that we buy, honestly. The things that we buy, especially for food, and then to really plan in such a way na yung weekly menu natin, for lack of a better term, we get to utilize talaga every part of all the food items that we get and to really avoid spoilage. In fact, in WWF, aside from the gardening, we also encourage people to really support yung local vegetables natin and fruits. Because a part of it really is supporting our farmers, diba? Like, you need to buy local din talaga because all of us are struggling right now and we need to help each other. And then another thing that we are talking about in WWF is water conservation, especially now during the COVID. Kasi
Okay.
if you think about it, 'di ba, pumutok rin siya during the summer season. So
Yeah,
it's
that's so
it's both
true.
a combination of meron na rin tayong fear na nagkaroon ng shortage before. We're more prepared now, to be honest. But really, we were telling people then na if you get to conserve water in your own households, you're inevitably helping everyone have access to water. So we also tell people na conserving your water at home is also bayanihan because you're allowing other people to also get access. So those are the little things actually that can help with the environment. Kasi we don't really, in WWF, we don't really like talking about about the earth is healing. Kasi syempre important sa amin, we need to save lives first and foremost.
Yep.
And kami naniniwala rin kasi kami na this is a good wake up call sa atin na the health of the planet talaga is directly related to the health of our society. So hopefully sa new better normal
That's so
natin,
true.
we get to really act on that na.
Pero may napansin lang din ako when you were talking about water consumption kasi you mentioned that now is also the summer months, and there were so many times that my colleagues at work, 3 of them nawala ng kuryente at the same time. May mga pumutok daw na transformers. And I think it's also because everyone's at home, so power consumption is really high, and apparently power consumption it's almost as high as pre-COVID levels, except that a lot of the power is being generated by the residential
Household.
community. So kahit na walang offices, walang malls, the power generated by the households is almost equal to the power we were generating then. Pero diba, how do you even think about conserving energy when you're all at home? It's hot, diba? So yun na yung mga how do we strike that balance between our needs and our welfare, but we know that again there's a bigger picture that we need to look out for. So kayo, any thoughts on that?
Well, you can always optimize by sleeping multiple people in one room, so it's just less number, diba? Just less air conditioners every night. Okay. That's one. The other one is
actually,
diba? And ngayon umuulan na kasi, so it's significantly cooler. People could try sleeping with the electric fan on. Right? Just some of those simple hacks. We've found that sleeping in the ground floor is cooler than sleeping on our second floor. So it's the simplest way to do it.
Okay. So you guys actually moved downstairs? Ganun ba yun?
My dad tried it, and he didn't need the AC downstairs. It was cool enough.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. That's a good hack. Ako naman, what I appreciate about this time is that I don't know why, but office air conditioning tends to be freezing. Especially if you have servers, diba? And I've actually enjoyed not getting brain freeze. So I've been brain freeze free for 3 months. And so far, it's been parang iba rin pala yung energy that you're able to work when it's a bit warmer versus giniginaw ka and you're not used to the cold temperatures. But So JR naman from like so Raf talked about also supporting our local farmers, and Pam also touched on that as well as other things. Pero ikaw, from a plant parent perspective, how has indoor gardening or how has plant parenting helped you stay sane
Yeah.
during the lockdown?
Yeah, so for us, a Green Hobby, we're also a social enterprise. So if there are farmers, there are also gardeners, those that actually produce ornamentals. So we have partner gardens in Cavite, Laguna, and also Benguet, Baguio Benguet. So those are the three sources of plants
Mm-hmm.
that we have. Pero in the house, I have a garden. So we also propagate some of the plants that we can actually propagate on our own. Yeah, the first ano siguro no yung first
Mm-mm.
weeks of lockdown. Ako yung ano kasi parang ayoko maging vlogger. Ayoko nang meron ganito, ganyan. So pero it has changed a lot because what we were thinking was kung hindi kami connected dun sa mga plant parents namin. And a lot of them are messaging me to buy but I cannot, especially nung first 2 weeks kasi walang delivery or anything. So sabi ko, how do we stay connected to ensure that the,
Mm-mm.
that the connection with the client is there so that our gardeners will eventually have, financial sustainability as well. So our ways was to really do parang online sessions with them. So we did some plant care 101 sessions with our plant parents. And then a lot of them signed up. And then they were very thankful kasi sabi nila it has parang the plants keep them sane during those times. Despite hindi sila makabili sa amin, but the plants
Mm-mm.
at home mas naalagaan nila ng maayos at meron silang oras to think about how to really care for it well. Kasi they have time to really think na ay ganito pala yung water cycle. Meron palang parang supposed to be bright intensity na light intensity na pumapasok sa bahay mo or kailangan ng plants mo. So all of those things, ako naman and personally sa akin, nakatulong yung naging parang naging new normal na sa akin yung may ganito, may webinar, and then eventually meron na rin akong YouTube channel for Green Hobby.
Oo nga,
Um,
Wow.
apparently.
to
Yeah.
really promote the how to care for the plants. Um, that maybe the other thing is what has changed in terms of parang my mindset looking at the environment since it's environment month. Ang naisip namin is that if you're able to take care of one plant in your home, parang it's also a way of taking care of the whole planet because you don't want the plant to die in your hands, di ba? So you don't want you
Mm-mm.
also
Yeah.
have to parang manifest that to other greens outside of your home. So when you kind of take care of that plant, it means also that you are able to take care of the whole planet. Merong ganong symbolism, and it's always part of our conversation with the plant parents.
And it's, I mean, even the term plant parenting, that was new to me. I only found out about that through you. And then, diba, if there are pet parents, and si Pam loves
Yeah.
animals, diba? If there are pet parents, oh nga, no, you can be a plant parent. So, I mean, what's that extra, like, what differentiates a plant parent from somebody who's just growing plants?
I think I got a lot of parang ganyang type of questions. Ang naisip namin nga is that when you buy plants, karamihan minsan inuutos lang doon sa katulong or whoever is their
Oo.
house help. You don't hindi mo parang you're not the ones taking care of the plant. But what we want to emphasize, especially to a lot of those na nagpa-purchase sa amin, the role of a plant parent is to make sure to mimic yung ba yung environment na meron yung plant na yan outside. And we provide that when they buy plants, we give them care tips. Ano yung light condition,
Mm-mm.
and we go further to that because we don't want that Green Hobby is just another business that we just sell plants. What we wanted to do is for people to be really relevant in terms of taking care of the planet, to have that sense that they take care of the planet. So kaya namin siya tinawag din na plant parent. So yun, parang we give them the care tips of how, ano yung kailangan na
Mhm.
light, ano yung kailangan na water cycle. Even we created also Viber community groups. And the Viber community group, we don't have selling there. It's open for everyone, client
Mhm.
or
Oh,
non-client. And then
okay.
they can ask any question on plant care. We tried as much to answer. We have about 5 people in the team. Pero most of the time, talaga ako yung sumasagot. Pero yung mga hindi ko na minsan kinakaya, I ask also some of the colleagues to answer because we're not horticulture, we're not botanist, but our answer to the questions are based on the research and based on experience. That's why meron kaming mga plants
Mm-mm.
inside our room because tinatry namin na kami mismo mag-alaga so that when we say something to our client, it means that we've experienced it and we know exactly what to do with it.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Yeah. And I like what you brought up earlier, that plant parenting is, it's also there are links to mental wellness. I mean, we've also read articles on that having greens at home can boost mental health. But what other practices have you found can really be helpful to also promote mental health, inside the home, and aside from other green practices in terms of consumption? Kayo, based on how you've dealt with the lockdown, what other things do you recommend? Because I mean, although it's GCQ and the cities are starting to open up, there will be restrictions for a while, diba? And this is a new normal, yung restricted movement and not being able to see friends and loved
Yeah.
ones as freely. So what else would, or have you tried, or what else would you recommend?
Sige, I'll answer that. So, yung
Sige,
again,
go. Yes,
the
please.
first 2 weeks talaga was the critical week for me. Ako din parang I experienced
Mm-mm.
parang anxiety ata kasi I have another business which is on training. So talagang zero
Mm-mm.
to two din, di ba?
Mm-mm.
Parang saan
Yeah.
ako magsisimula ulit. So parang ganon. But what had helped me is that kasi I have already the skill for planting. Meron naman kami in our backyard. Meron na akong malunggay and some other edibles na nandun.
Wow.
And then what I did was, dahil bumibili nga kami ng halimbawa kalabasa or and then the first 2 weeks also bumili ako ng sobrang praning ko, bumili ako ng ginger and then kalamansi. So I make
Sumikat nga yung kalamansi.
di ba? Sobrang I make salabat every night with
Ang mahal ng
kalamansi.
kalamansi nun.
Oh. So ang ginawa ko, dahil sabi ko, shucks, mukhang tatagal to. So I I started
Mm-mm.
planting ginger. Yun yung pinakauna kong ECQ plant.
Wow.
Now may ginger, meron akong harvest sa ginger ko. I also planted calamansi. Now the calamansi, we're giving it for free to our clients.
Wow.
Since tubo na
Oh,
siya.
shucks. Okay. Oo.
Ayan,
That's so
so
fun.
meron
Madali ba mag-alaga? Can we see the calamansi? And
Ayan,
is
so
it hard
every
to, is it
giveaway
easy to
webinar,
plant?
ayan, so every time
Wow.
ako I planted this personally. Galing to dun sa calamansi na binili ko
Mm-mm.
sa market.
Okay, galing.
And then yan, tinanim ko siya. And then yan, we give this for free to clients. Pag bumibili sila, may kasama ng free calamansi. Pero yun, it's very
Wow.
helpful. Sobrang helpful talaga siya in terms of mental wellness na, oh my gosh, may nag-grow doon doon sa mga kinain ko, di ba? So parang, and then yun, I started also planting carrots, yung mga root crops, kamote, squash,
Wait,
and then alugbate,
so
the green.
does it mean you have a plot, or as in meron kang piece of land there in your area? Pero paano for people who live in condos?
I really intentionally I plant in pots so that when I discuss this to people living in condo, I make sense. So, yun, tinatanim
Yeah.
ko. Meron akong halimbawa alugbate. I'm thinking nga kung ibebenta ko ba to or kakainin ko. So I have alugbate na nakalagay sa mga sa mga square pots. And then yun, from the alugbate yun na binili ko sa market, tinanggalan ko ng leaves, and then tinanim ko sila. And then lahat, even the squash, they are in square pots na malalaki. So lahat sila nakapots.
Mm.
Because what I really want
Wow.
to really also share, no, to a lot of people, is that you can actually grow your own food in pots. And then ano sila lahat, naka-pots lang sila. We also use PET bottles para lang to mimic a hydroponics.
Okay.
So, yon, we do that as well.
Very
Okay, you know
cool.
what I'd like to do is after this episode, JR, if you can send me one of your videos, we'd love to share that on the page. Diba? Kasi, I'd love for Pam and Raf to also comment on this. I mean, are we seeing ano ba, an interest in ganyan, parang urban farming
Mhm.
or in, becoming more self-sufficient in terms of food? I mean, how can we grow this movement so that more people in the urban areas, even condo dwellers can actually start growing kahit nga herbs lang muna. So I'm starting with my herbs,
Yeah.
'di ba?
Mm-mm.
And then but if you can also go into calamansi and you mentioned squash, alagbati. I mean, how amazing would that be? But is that going to hurt the farmers on one hand?
Would be nice nga if it grows, no? I think the low hanging fruit for most households would be if you're a millennial or Gen Z interested in planting, I bet your parents' house has a small patch of grass in front somewhere by the sidewalk that might be of some
Mm-hmm.
use.
Mm-hmm.
And in our village, you have
Mm-hmm.
the extremes. The
Yeah, diba?
sidewalk where it's all gray, like brown grass, because no one's taking care of it, or where there are weeds. And then there's one where it's extremely manicured, all flowers. And then there are some that they've
Oo,
already decided to
that's true.
put malunggay trees and lemongrass. And what I notice is wherever there's malunggay and lemongrass, you'll notice that people are picking from it all the time,
Yeah.
right? Diba? So
Oo.
parang clearly there's room to create some sort of edible garden space,
Mm.
even in just like 4 or 5
Mm-mm.
square meters of land outside, no? So it would be nice if everybody took a shot at it, and like buying those things that JR has would be beneficial. Or if they're even more patient, they can just kind of look at the seeds they have in their kitchen and then just see if they can
Yeah.
germinate it themselves. Kasi pwede naman, no? But
Actually, that's
some,
true.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
you just kind of need to prepare your soil a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have started seeing this movement, di
Mhm.
ba nga,
Mm-mm.
especially among millennials and Gen Zs. But it seems like this crisis really compelled us to say, okay, what can you do at home, di ba? What can you start growing at home? What can you start doing more of at home? And kayo, is it from from the perspective of consumers yourselves, I mean, is this something, and people will go on with their lives at some point,
Mhm.
is this something that you will continue to recommend na, diba, as part of a lifestyle?
Yeah, ako for me, yes. Personally and professionally, it's something that I would recommend. Kasi these are, if you think about it, these really are life skills eh.
Yeah.
Cooking your own food, growing
Mm-hmm.
your own food. These are life skills na in reality, we should all know the basics of, not just for survival, but um, if you think about it kasi, there's a sort of freedom that comes with it din eh, being able to provide for your own needs, diba? And of course, especially for growing your own food, although there are ways to make it easy sa bahay, diba? It also helps you realize rin kasi how hard it is or how much time it takes to really grow food in a mass level. So
Yeah,
by
that's
doing
true.
this yourselves or by doing this ourselves, we get to appreciate then the efforts and the hard work of our farmers and our fisher folk. So kasi that's how when you get to relate kasi to what they're experiencing from a day to day. Actually hindi pa nga mas mahirap talaga sa kanila. But really when you experience that,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you're compelled to really understand din na ayoko magsayang ng pagkain kasi sobrang hirap magpatubo ng kanin. And then that helps
Super.
you, 'di ba? That
Actually,
helps
totoo.
you appreciate na okay, don't waste your food, 'di ba? Like lahat ng nilagay mo sa plato mo, kainin mo kasi it took a lot of resources, not
Mm-mm.
just human resources, but also environmental resources to get that plate of food to your table. So these are things
Yeah.
na not just we shouldn't just learn for our survival, but really to appreciate what other people are doing for us. Sa totoo lang.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, that's true
True.
kasi hindi natin naisip na 'di ba that whatever we're consuming on our tables, for many people you think, oh, it came from the supermarket, but it traveled a long way before
Yeah.
it got to the supermarket. It exchanged many hands, and yun nga, as we're seeing with the experiences of farmers, and daming layers, 'di ba? And often it's really the farmers who unfortunately get the shorter end of the stick. So if we're able to, I guess, compress that process and buy directly from farmers or from groups, diba? Or like platforms like Mad Market that allow you to really support the farmers, then it makes it so much better. Pero I wanted to ask about packaging. Kasi yun nga, right now, so a lot of masks, a lot of, I guess, gloves, PPAs, or a lot of disposables. Are we
Mm.
seeing, or from what you're seeing, are there any trends towards more sustainable packaging? So for food items or for fruits, vegetables that are being delivered, how can we deal with all the waste that's being generated from all of the packaging naman? And how do we also make it safer? Kasi you
You
need
know,
the packaging because
the interesting thing is that we just have to wait for Philippine ingenuity and creativity to kick in. Because the first month was a knee-jerk reaction to I'll just copy what the other countries are doing. But like earlier, I
mm,
saw what was it? PTRI of the OST trying to come up with abaca-based masks, and or maybe they're already in production, right? I mean, um,
mm,
it's
mm,
just, I mean, in our family, everyone has a reusable mask now. It's definitely
mm.
the way to go, right? And it's also very practical because the disposable ones are kind of expensive. Parang 20
Yeah,
pesos
they
per
are.
piece
Yeah.
at department store, maybe more. So we have to be practical about these things, and the reusability is better. On our end,
Mm,
it's interesting. Mga repeat customers. One customer even sent her
mm.
own bag and said, "Deliver all my food in
Oh,
this." That was
Wow.
cute.
yeah. Oh, actually,
Diba?
okay yan.
So,
'Di ba?
nag-effort
Their own,
siya to
as in
do it.
literally the bayongs.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think I'd like to use that as example of, when you do something long term, it's easier to be sustainable or environmentally friendly because you're coming back, right? And I think that
Mm,
on a deeper level, the coronavirus is asking us to trust each other as people,
Yeah.
right? Because when that
wow.
trust is
That's
built,
very true.
it's easier to exchange resources and minimize all these one-off transactional things, which generally produce more waste. The plastic, like I don't know, the security check, but diba, kasi now they can send me their bag and they know I'll send it back, right? And vice
Mm,
versa.
mm,
So, I was talking to a couple of students this afternoon from LaSalle, and they were asking about generating value, right? And I think that our situation today is kind of put on stage what has been a problem for such a long time, right? In that we
mm.
tend to disconnect not just from the environment, but we also disconnect from the people who have the best ability to be stewards of it, right? So these farmers or these fisher folk that
Yeah.
Pam mentioned earlier, no? um, and so I think today, like, it would be nice if people really made that effort to get to know where their food came from, right? Because when you build your relationship with that person, it builds that trust and that care, which I think sustainability of food, of us as a race, of our survival, all hinges upon, right? I think it's the one thing that the tribal communities do very well. They've got that strong link to each other and to their community. In the city, we've
Actually.
kind of lost it. It exists digitally,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not geographically placed anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. That's super true, no. And what I'm hoping, it's also a hope, that
Mm-mm.
for in terms of a longer term benefit of this lockdown, is that people nga get to realize that we're actually more connected than we used to think. Because now, I'm also seeing people are actively looking out for each other, di ba? Kasi we're disconnected. We were to be physically separated or distanced from each other. So you're actually taking time to check up on each other. And even sa supermarket, you're asking your guard or the baggers, paano po kayo pumapasok, 'di ba? Kasi you're cognizant na walang public transport. So, paano sila pumapasok sa supermarket para magbigay ng pagkain sa'yo, di ba? A
Yeah,
lot of them are,
exactly.
biking to work, they're walking. So, you're becoming more mindful of that. But we do hope that it extends to the larger community na, paano na yung farmers? Kung tayo, in the cities, we're worried about, of course, supplies running out. What more in areas where there really are little supplies to begin with, or they're not as connected? So who's looking out for them? So I really hope that this sparks a greater consciousness among people that at the end of the day, while COVID is a public health crisis, I think it's also given it's I guess also parang underscore the fact that there's also a crisis in how we've looked out for each other, and there is a need to reconnect. And sustainability, di ba? Parang siya, kabit-kabit siya na sustainability also compels us to look at how we produce our food, how we dispose of our waste, because another crisis could just erupt. And the better we were able to address all of these issues, the more resilient we will be for the next crisis to come. So I don't know, parang masyado ba siyang optimistic or too hopeful? But we are seeing pockets of that.
It's super possible, and I think that I mean, like, that's why I love what you're trying to do, like just getting the word out there. Because some people, not everyone has access to this information. I mean, I didn't study it in school, but I was in college like over 10 years ago. So I don't know if you guys, maybe Pam did, I don't know, but definitely I'll speak for my batch and the batches above. It wasn't part of school. Zero mention of the word sustainability in a business course. So,
Totoo.
so times have to change.
Yeah, so
And I just go ahead. Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
And I was gonna ask JR because I was curious if he has some sort of like package that is like, garden starter with all your edibles.
Yeah.
Okay yun.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking about it. So some
Sige
of my
lang,
friends,
babenta ko
some
yan.
of my friends told me na parang it's a bahay kubo package. Sabi ko, wait lang. Ibang
Actually,
level na yan.
May
Pero
libreng
yeah,
hat.
it can really grow na parang all the foods that you consume na merong seeds or merong pwedeng cut. The other thing about plant parenting na laging iniisip nila is that parang yung edible is the next level after you have mastered ornamentals. Parang ganon, the ornamental plant. So they have that they have that sense of parang mahirap siguro yan, baka mahirap mag-grow ng basil or ng calamansi. So a lot of the plant parents, I told them that no, you just have to change your mindset. It's the same green. It's the same process. Because some of the plants that are ornamental like a pothos, you cut it and then you grow it also by cuttings. So it's the same thing with alugbate or kangkong. I have kangkong also na galing sa cuttings and then you plant it. So it's the same process. It's just a mindset na parang hindi kasi tayo sanay na nagtatanim nung what we consume. We always ang lagi nating tanim is what beautifies our home, 'di ba? So ngayon parang we're challenged and parang people are so excited to plant also their own edibles. But it for me it's a perfect timing to be able to do that at this point. Yun nga, as Stein said, the next pandemic is just awaiting, di ba? So we don't want that to happen again. But if it's just awaiting there because of the so many things that we're doing to the environment, be better prepared, especially for your food consumption. The other one I'd like to share is during the lockdown, I already even before the lockdown, I've followed a lot of plant parents around the world. So meron ako mga specific plant parents talaga na gusto ko because they have a concept of sustainability. One of them was
Mm-mm.
one of them was Nick. He's based in New York, and I'm sure you pretty know the same situation that we are in New York, or maybe they're worse. What they did was to certify all their volunteers to be essential workers. Because what they do was
Oh,
they,
okay.
they call the project as ano, and you have to watch the video. I'll send it to you, Nine. They
Yeah,
call the
yes,
project as
please.
essential farmers. So
The what?
the project is named Essential Farmers. So they get
Essential farm.
volunteers, whoever wants to be part of the volunteer, uh, tinatag siya ng ano ng
Mm-mm.
local government nila as essential workers. And ang
Mm.
ginagawa nila, they
Mm-mm.
plant
Mm.
edibles in empty buildings, empty rooftop buildings.
Uy,
So
that's cool.
there is an
Sobrang
agreement
okay yun.
between the building owners and of course Nick, who is an he called himself as an apartment farmer. So ayan, and then they grow. So sila yung naglatag ng the type of soil that needs to be there and what are the edibles that can grow there,
Mm.
so that whoever is within the vicinity actually pwede lang kumuha eventually from that rooftop building. So I mean that's a good thing to be able to do that kasi empty naman maraming rooftop of the building eh. So sabi ko nga if we can
Oo,
make it
actually.
na talagang lagyan ng lupa kahit potted lang siya. Potted can still be okay.
Oo. Yeah.
So
Actually, what I'm realizing nga in our condo, I mean, there's green space, but you're right, it's mostly ornamental. But what if that green space can also be planted with edibles, di ba? So it's actually
yeah,
serving a dual purpose. Ang galing. Okay, so we for anyone here who has a voice in your condo homeowner association or your village association, no, we really encourage because it's really high time, diba? It's
Yeah.
we've outsourced our our food production for far too long. It's about time that we take some of that power back so that we also become part of this ecosystem that supports everybody else. And yeah, it helps us become more mindful of the journeys of the farmers and what they're going through. And it just makes for better communities. Diba? But, so ang ganda ng idea na yon. So, dapat mag-collaborate kayo, diba? The Bahay Kubo package. Tapos,
Meron
yeah.
kami pinakinggan package ng mga gano'n.
Diba? And we should really call for more urban farming, for more sustainable cities. Any other thoughts? So we're coming down to the last few parts of the program. So I wanted to just also ask, are there, my mother is waving. See, Renalyn Tan Castellanos, also known as the Marie Kondo of the Philippines. She was tuned in, Karina. She's saying hi to everybody. So,
Hello.
I'd love to hear more about, diba, what are concrete next steps? So yan, nabanggit na natin yung, planting edibles, also definitely buying local. I think is also a movement that we should continue to do kasi you're also helping local entrepreneurs, you're helping the local ecosystem thrive. Are there other specific calls to action? Any events coming up? Virtual events for you guys, or Raf? I know that you also have MAD courses. Can you tell us what kinds of courses you have there and what people can look forward to there?
Well, whenever people would go on tour to one of the communities, we get good reviews. And one of the comments of a teacher who went with us was, "I wish that my students got to learn about this prior to coming because seeing it, trekking it,
Mm-hmm.
then meeting them, and then trying to understand the scientific and cultural frameworks around this, it's just too much in one trip." And
Mm-hmm.
so what we did is we designed a digital course that people could go through on tour prior to the program. No? But it teaches, it's a show and tell of sustainability, of inclusive business, of agriculture, of
That's
forestry. And it
correct.
really maps out the context. No? Because I think that and Pam, maybe you can comment on this, no? But one of the challenges of people in the Philippines wanting to be more sustainable is being blind to the context of where everything is, right? I want to be sustainable, but I don't understand how it affects the ocean. I
Yeah.
want to be sustainable. I don't understand how it affects the forest and or the soil, right? They
Mhm.
don't know what to ask because they just don't know. It's and having learned this on on the journey, I realized that while there's really that big gap. No, so now we're working with some private schools, but we'd like to give the content free eventually to public schools on a one is to one basis. We just have to find people who are willing to translate the content since it obviously it's in English at the moment.
Oo,
Uh,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah. Siguro just
Ah,
to comment to sa sinabi ni Raf, no? Tama
yes,
kasi siya
please
when
go
he
ahead.
says na sustainability kasi, ang challenge sa kanya, coming from a comms perspective na rin, is masyado na siya naging buzzword.
Mm,
Alam mo yung,
Mhm.
masyado na siya, naging
Yep.
siyang buzzword na everyone just connects it with every little phrase. And then because it has become a buzzword, it's that kind of thing na you kind of know what it means, but you don't really know how to get there. And then when you ask
Mhm.
different people, of course, there are different translations of what sustainability is, diba? Um, so I guess nagiging challenge rin yun kasi even sa amin sa WWF, we are working in many facets of the environment kasi we started out as World Wildlife Fund, diba? We really started out working on wildlife
Mhm.
conservation. But naging worldwide fund for nature kami kasi we realized na while doing the work that we are doing, there's a greater mandate talaga na we have to do na noong una, syempre, in order to protect wildlife, di ba, you have to consider all the other things surrounding it. And a lot of those things are connected then with human
Yeah,
consumption. So that's food,
yeah,
water,
definitely.
energy. So kaya rin lumaki yung scope namin. Now, across all of those topics, we've been having projects na focus talaga sa sustainability. There are we have projects na more on sustainable agriculture, sustainable fisheries, but we also have the I don't want to say na more modern, but we have more projects na para on the markets naman. Like for example, yung sa sustainable consumption and production namin, even green financing or sustainable finance. Kasi these are all
Oh
factors
yeah, that's
that
great.
really affect our society, our environment, or even how we can really get to the goal of sustainability. So yun siya. During the lockdown actually, we've been trying to really kasi hindi kami makapag on ground for obvious reasons, 'di ba? So we've been
Oo,
trying
oo.
to utilize the digital to really para mahimay what sustainability is and to really show people na it doesn't have to be a big word kasi you can be sustainable or you can do sustainable practices in at your home. So kaya namin ginawa yung Panda Talks namin. Para siyang free public education live stream namin featuring our project managers and then teaching
Mhm.
relating yung projects namin from a greater scale down to the scale of an individual or as a consumer on how you can support or how you can actually practice yung different aspects of sustainability while staying at home or even as an individual. So yun siya. So
That's
I agree
great.
with Raf
They're
talaga
called the
na
Panda.
Panda
They're
Talks.
called the Panda Talks. Okay,
Yes.
let me just type this. They're on
Yeah.
Facebook.
We
Okay,
live
that's
stream it sa WW Philippines Facebook page. So, actually, yung next topic
okay.
namin sa June 19 will be about sustainable consumption and production.
Okay, that is super, diba? Super kabit siya dun sa what we're talking about today. So, we encourage our audience to please check out the Panda Talks on June 19, right? So, that's a Friday. And, Pam, please also send us the information para we can share it. Okay, so it's, ang dami, I wish we were doing this. I mean, it's good that we're having this conversation. I wish we had more time. Oh, okay. One of my bosses asked me a question from my watch party. Hi, Attorney Mona. She says, I want to live sustainably. Then she turns on the air conditioning. No, but no, si Attorney Mona is also the chair of the National Renewable Energy Board. So she's definitely one of the champions for the environment as well. But what I love from our discussion so far is that again we're seeing that it's all tied together, diba? So, una, pinag-usapan natin yung lockdown and how people are coping. We got to see a bit of Raf's experience, bringing some of the produce of the farmers here to the city. But we're seeing that all of that is tied together. How we consume our food, diba? The even down to where do we put our money during the lockdown? Sinong suppliers yung ipapatronize natin? And I'd like to think that now when resources are more scarce, maraming nawawalan ng trabaho, many people are cutting back. Hopefully, I like to use the term, we vote with our wallet, meaning, di ba, use your money wisely
That
and let
is
it
the best way to
fuel,
vote.
diba, let your hard-earned and very scarce resources fuel people who are doing more good and who are giving back to the planet, giving back to communities. Diba? We also talked about, how plant parenting, it's not just a matter of making your indoor space look pretty. It's really also tied to mental wellness, diba? Mental health, and being able to care for the environment and just recognizing the connectedness of everything. So, and what I would love for us to have more of is, more opportunities for collaboration. So if, at some point the three of you get to collaborate because of this episode, that would be super awesome. If we can continue to support, WWF, Mad Market and Mad Courses and Green Hobby and all of these other players in the local ecosystem, that would be super great. So we really encourage you, please continue the conversation. If you're, and we have a shout out, Zep Mendoza, pa shout out po, Alan Villa, happy birthday. Okay, happy birthday, Alan. I hope po that you will also share this episode kasi marami tayong natutunan dito na sana we can practice even in a small way, even in our own homes. If you end up buying a plant from Green Hobby or just learning how to plant, diba? And start growing your own herbs or vegetables in your own terrace or home garden, that would be a super great outcome of this episode, because we really feel like there's so much more we can do. And the Mindful Manila as an online community, we recognize that there's already so much chaos outside. The city is so the city has so many stressors, but sana in our own ways, in our own homes, in our own lifestyles, we're able to live a little bit more mindfully, even pa konti-konti lang, baby steps lang muna. So before we end, I'd like to ask any final words, parting words from our panel, or any last invitations. And I'd also like to shout out to Faye Corcuera, diba? She's one
hi,
of
Ma'am
JR's
Faye.
and my favorite.
Hi.
Yeah, diba? Raph also knows her. So, hi,
Sikat si Ma'am
Faye.
Faye.
Thanks for watching. Yeah, I miss you. Like, we miss our chat. So, yun, any final reminders or invitations to our audience?
Pwede ba ako mag-plug for WF? Wow, nag-plug pa.
Of course, yes,
Go.
please. Please
Ayan.
plug away.
Ayan, so kasi si WWF right now, we actually have 3 major fundraising campaigns kasi we really want to assist talaga yung communities namin. We really want to fundraise for them para maka-rise above this crisis nila. So we focused our efforts dun sa 3 communities namin. So I'll share na lang here. Listing niya yung
Yes,
link
please.
to our donation
Okay.
campaign. So what we're doing kasi is we have 3
Okay,
campaigns.
sige.
So one really is to
Alright.
provide
I
solar lights to our fisher folk communities in Ticao and Burias Islands. The second one is to provide rainwater harvesting tanks to our communities, to the remote communities of Boca Engaño and Donsol. Especially now na super important ng water.
Wow. Oo.
Important naman ng water lagi, 'di ba? But especially now kasi na it's your one way to defend yourself from the pandemic really is to have a constant source of clean water. And until now we really
that's super
have,
important.
fellow Filipinos na walang access to that or even to energy. And then the last is, as you guys would know kasi syempre, one of our long-standing communities talaga is Donsol Sorsogon, especially when it comes to their whale shark ecotourism program. I'm sure alam ni Raf to. So, and
Yes.
Galing.
and as you know, 'di ba, summer talaga yung peak season namin for whale sharks. But because of the pandemic, obviously no one can go there. So yung botanding interaction officers namin who are a part of the Donsol community, kasi we do community conservation there. They're very affected and they're in livelihoods nila, especially in families nila. So we're also trying to fundraise for them. So that link na nakikita niyo sa screen ngayon, you can actually
Yes,
click
please.
that, and then you can see yung tatlong campaigns namin. And if you could support the lives of those who support ours, that would be great. Of course, we're not telling everyone to donate naman, di ba? But if you can spare some blessings then for our communities, especially for our fisher folk, for our remote communities, and our Butande interaction officers, it will really help their families. So, ayun, we've really been focused talaga on our communities, lalo na throughout the pandemic. Kasi we won't be able to do our conservation work without our communities. Kasi conservation work talaga, mas alam ng communities natin yun. So, now
That's
it's our
true.
turn to help them talaga. Sila talaga environmental frontliners natin, sa totoo lang. Hindi naman si WF. It's really them.
Yep.
So, yun lang naman. Nag-plug talaga yun.
Yeah, of course. So we will also share this link on our Facebook page and please share away if you're still watching this. JR and Raf, any other final words also?
Sige. I'll show lang may baby plants.
Sige,
So,
go.
Yes, please. Yes,
Oh my
please.
God.
Actually, sige. While
these are bedroom
Oo.
grown plants. So what I'd always say to my
Ay, sorry, teka lang. I need to show. Ay, wait. JR. Nawala si JR. Wait lang. Hang on. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Ayan. So what I'd like to tell our plant parents is for those who wanted to go into ornamentals or edibles is not to be afraid to try and plant something. It's always good to have that sense of nature sa bahay niyo or sa bedroom niyo, because they will thrive if you really show love and care for them. So yeah, that's why here I'm showing these plants. These are bedroom grown plants, and they really thrive inside my room. So we have a lot of Green Hobby has a lot of tips on how to do that, how to supplement light, how to make sure that your room or any part of your house is ready also to welcome a plant. The other one I'd like to promote, and this is a new venture for me. The lockdown has also pushed me to organize something. So I actually opened up a new Instagram account. So what we did was, some of my friends, we organized market vendors and homepreneurs to be able to sell their products within the Instagram within an Instagram post. So yun,
Right.
ang ginawa namin, kasi parang nakita namin yung mga market vendors where we buy our vegetables, parang hindi nila alam how to actually sell. And kung walang pumupunta sa kanila, talagang walang benta. So we talk to them and then we organize them. So that's why we open up Bayanihan PH to be able to organize all of
Bayanihan PH.
Yeah. So lahat ng mga homepreneurs, those that are selling one-off, so it can be a baked good or whatever that they have at home, we put it in that Instagram post and we do all the promotion
Okay,
and
this is on
everything.
Instagram. Okay.
Yeah, so and everything that is parang delivering goods for those who wanted also to have these kinds of food in their home. Again, on the context of being socially responsible and at the same time sustainable. So yun, so yeah, bring something green at your home and start greening your home.
Nice. Very nice.
Nice. Siguro, since I think si Nina is nawala, no? So I think Raf.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope you guys can support Mad Market. We've got this is my favorite product, Forest Honey, which is it's a seasonal product of the community since they refrain from harvesting in the rainy season. Trying to support them lang with it, along with the other fruits and vegetables. No? And we also have the option of you can hire them to plant a tree for you if you want during this time. It's for 150. Yeah, and hope you guys can follow us on Instagram or Facebook. We share a lot of information about sustainability and how you guys can make the world a better place. So yeah.
Wala pa rin
Ayan.
sinabi. Meron ka pa bang ibang
Oh,
ano, Raf? Meron
Ref,
ka pang
bakit
ibang products aside from honey?
huh? Apart from honey,
Aside
there's
from
mountain
honey.
coffee. Interesting story. The mountain coffee we have, it's a project of an NGO. They found out that a lot of the tribes in the north were planting sayote. The thing with sayote, when you plant it on the mountaintop, it's a vine, diba? So
Yeah.
it doesn't hold the soil. So pag umuulan on the mountain, the soil kind of just crumbles down, and so there's siltation. And
Mm.
then the rivers get flooded. No? So they were pushing for coffee since the coffee is a tree, holds the soil better, and the coffee has to grow intercropped with other bigger trees, diba? So interesting. Just the choice of crop vis-a-vis the location of the
Pero
farmer.
is it a ground coffee na ba?
Yeah, it's ground na. Here, it's ground. It's Arabica, but it's not super sour. As in, very balanced flavor siya. No? Local, super good, and sarap ng amoy. Ayun. Nawala na rin si
Dalawa na lang tayo dito, Raf.
Wala.
Kaya mag-collaborate na tayo.
Oo nga,
Pwede na,
collaborate na tayo.
pwede na
Pilot
natin
natin
pag
sa village ko. My neighbor wants to have an edible garden in front of his house.
where where are you located, Raf?
Quezon City, Loyola Heights.
Okay, I'm in
Ikaw?
Mandaluyong.
Oh, not
Mandaluyong.
far pala. Ayan, sige. O,
We're,
let's connect after this.
yeah. Actually, the other business that I have, YGOAL, we're actually talking to Rumina about the travel part as a team building offshoot. Kaya lang yun na. It goes along the way nung nagkaroon ng pandemic. Pero yeah,
Yeah.
I like yung all of those things na 'di ba dapat parang sustainable, and then there's uh parang the community benefits from it at the same time. Yung hindi lang siya talaga yung end, yung yung profit oriented lang talaga. So it's a good business model. Parang sabi ko nga, hindi ako makakanegosyo ng walang social
Yo,
cost. Para ang
that's the
hirap
way to
ng
do it.
negosyo, di ba?
Oh,
Parang
mahirap yung
nakaka-protect ng
motivation.
negosyo.
That's true. That's true. Wow. Anyway, I guess we better sign off, no? To the viewers who are still watching, maraming salamat. And yeah, we will work on internet connection next time.
Ayan, I think Nines is coming up.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Oo nga, just as we were about to uh, wrap up. So, okay, so we do have links that we will share with the rest. Parang si Pam nawala din. But anyway, so to everybody who's still tuned in, thank you so much. Yung iba sa inyo, alam nyo na at around this time, hindi nakikisama yung internet ko sa bahay. So, but it was a really, really fruitful and fun discussion. I think, I really enjoyed all the ideas. So we do hope to publish some of them on the website as well as our social media pages. So again, thank you everybody. I hope Pam will still be able to rejoin as we say goodbye. But to those who have tuned in, please also feel free to share the replay. Tapos check out Green Hobby PH. Is it Mad Travel pa rin yung page mo, Raf? Or do we
Yeah,
move na to
Mad Travel
Mad
or
Market?
Mad Market. Yep, Mad Market.
Okay, so Mad Travel or Mad Market, si Pam naman, it's WWF Philippines, and they do have their fundraising campaign. I really encourage everybody, yung natitipid natin by not having to go to work or diba, eating out and all that. So I hope we can use that to donate to worthy causes. So again, thank you so much for staying tuned to Mindful Manila. Just one last note for next week, our episode is on financial freedom in the new normal. So again, same time, Monday, 8 p.m., we will be talking about, how do you achieve financial freedom, especially now that, a lot of people are resource strapped and maybe in transition because of, challenges at work. And then on June 22, we will have Mindful Masculinity. It's our post Father's Day episode. And then on June 29, we will be talking about sound mind, sound body. So that's the combination of physical strength and mental strength. So again, this has been Mindful Manila. Hindi ko na flashing screen ko. But again, thank you so much. And we hope to see you again online next week. All right. Thank you so much, Raf and JR. And thank you, Pam. Okay. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Have a good evening. Okay.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.